Rafa Loza, welcome to the Patrick Real Estate Show, man. I'm so pumped to have you here. For the people that don't know, Rafa spoke at one of the conferences that I put on. He's been for a long time, we've been friends, probably, going back like 4 or 5 years. When I got first started in this space, he's a California guy, he's put on a lot of short-term rental events in SoCal. He has done mastermind coaching for Airbnb, short-term rentals. He's done hotels, he's done arbitrage, he's done buying short-term rentals, he's done it all. I feel like he's touched every part of short-term rentals that you can think of. And it was awesome because I got a chance to catch up with Rafa at a friend's birthday party and realized I never had him on the podcast, which is my mistake because I thought I had him on the podcast in the earlier days. But without further ado, I'm really excited to bring him in and his 8 years of experience being in this space. Without further ado, Rafa, welcome to the show, man.
Patrick, buddy, thanks for having me, man. Great intro. I appreciate that. It's funny when people talk about the stuff that you've done. You always think you really haven't accomplished anything, and then someone brings up, hey, you've done this and that and this and that. Yeah. And I'm like, I guess I have. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and it was fun catching up at the pool party, and thanks for thinking of me, dude. I'm pumped to be here, talk about short-term rentals. And a little bit about me. As you said, I've been in short-term rentals since 2017. I started with arbitrage, leased out a 2-bedroom apartment, significantly scaled it. Currently, we have about 40 locations, which is actually, it's funny to say that, but it's significantly lower than what we had because I've built out about 200 locations at this point. And at one point, we had about 150 at one time operating. So because of city regulations and the way the market is, we've now downsized significantly and have a very selective few number of units that do cash flow and are less headaches. But doesn't mean it's because of lack of experience or anything like that. I'm just focused on a lot of bigger things than arbitrage. Purchasing, I'm very selective now. So we're doing development. Like you said, I got a couple boutique hotels up in North Michigan and in North Carolina. So anyway, yeah, happy to chat, man. Whatever you want to talk about, let's do it.
Yeah. Cool, man. I do want to go back. How did you get even started in short-term rentals? Just give a little bit of a background there.
Yeah. I used to run a collection agency before I started here with my brother and a buddy of mine. And when I left that, I was trying to figure out another way to invest. And I knew I always wanted to do real estate at some point. And so I read, of course, like everybody else, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it just kind of was like, all right, maybe this is the right time to jump in. And my idea was I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to put tenants in it, and I'm going to cash flow, and I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to live off the cash flow. But Southern California prices are extremely expensive, and that's not really the case, right? The numbers didn't pencil out, and so I had to get creative and find other ways to make money. So I kept doing the research, listening to the podcasts, reading the books, going on threads, and that's when I found out about Bigger Pockets, and so that went down that rabbit hole, of course. And eventually I came across short-term rentals, and I realized there was a group of people or some kids, to keep the story short, that mentioned they were doing Airbnb an entire apartment building. And I was like, oh, you can do that. And he's like, we're doing it illegally. The owners don't know, but we're making a bunch of money. And so I went down that rabbit hole, and I quickly found out, okay, I can actually rent apartments or homes, furnish them, get them set up for Airbnb, and cash flow more than I would if I were to buy this house and not cash flow. I'm like, why is nobody doing this? This is a no-brainer. So I took a 2-bedroom apartment, and I had $5,000 to my name, a little bit under 5,000, I don't remember the exact number. And I borrowed a credit card from my brother, and I'm like, hey, dude, I got this awesome business idea. And we used the cash for the rent and the down payment on a 2-bedroom apartment, and then the credit card with about $9,400 to furnish the entire place. And the first month we made about $6,000, so we made our money back. Second month we made about $6,000 in profit, so we made our money back there. And then I was like, okay, this is a real thing. And I just slowly started to scale it. That's when I started raising private money without knowing I was raising private money. I started talking to people. And the cool thing about that strategy was that it required very little money. So I'm borrowing $10,000 from my parents. I'm borrowing credit cards from other people, and we're slowly scaling. And fast forward to 9 months later, I had about 9 units in operation, just cash flowing like crazy. And then about two and a half years later, I had about 30 of them, and it just snowballed from there. You start making a bunch of money, got into into masterminds, and then COVID hit. And so we had to close down a bunch of locations. We had about 6 left. I actually still have some of those that I had from when I first started in operation, but we closed down, and I came to a pivotal moment where I was like, do I want to continue doing short-term rental arbitrage or do I focus on something else? And this guy at my mastermind that I'm in, he's look, dude, he's like, if you're really good at something, why would you want to go in any other direction? And so it stuck with me a little bit. And I'm like, he's right. I'm like, dude, short-term rentals is like the back of my hand. Like I could literally, I can talk about it. I know everything about it. I know the strategy. I know everything, right? Especially arbitrage and having the conversations. I started reaching out to people. I found a guy, and fast forward to a year later after COVID, I had about 76 locations up and running again. And so, of course, cash flowing like crazy. And that's when I decided, hey, it's time to start pumping this money into real estate, like actually buying stuff instead of renting things. And so then I got into the boutique hotel game, and that was really easy. It was like second nature. We're already renting apartment complexes and converting apartment complexes to short-term rentals. Boutique hotel was literally the same thing, except it was just zoned as a hotel, and they were actual hotel rooms. And so we did that strategy, and it took off from there, and here we are now.
There you go. So when you were buying, so obviously getting into hotels, you were funneling. I think the key thing here is you got cash flow, and then you were taking that cash flow into buying real estate assets. Is there any other motivator behind buying real estate assets? Like, why not just continue the business route and continue doing more arbitrage deals? What was that? Why that make that jump?
Yeah, that's a great question, dude. Look, when you get to a certain point, the amount of work to scale and the amount of problems that come with scaling are real. And so you have to really grow a serious team to make sure that you're able to handle everything. And so we got to a point where we were already so large and we were doing so well that I was like, okay, the goal was always to own real estate, not to rent real estate, right? I just happened to fall into a very lucrative cash flowing strategy in the real estate games. Obviously, number one is to cash flow, but number two is always to own so that you can have that long-term wealth. And so when I got to a point of, hey, I'm able to finally start buying stuff and put it towards real estate, that's what I started doing. Because it's just, again, it's just like that next step in evolution, I guess you could say. And so instead of me continuing to get more things that I don't have control over, more assets that I don't own or control, I decided, hey, it's time to actually start buying things. And so we decided to put money towards real estate that we can own long term and store value.
Why not buy first?
Like I said in the beginning, let me go back, touch on where I was in the beginning, right? I was working at a casino graveyard shift at night, and I didn't want to continue working graveyard shift. And so in order to be able to buy real estate, you need to have active income to continue to live off of. And so if I have $60,000, I'll just give you the perfect example. If I have $60,000 to answer your question here, and I take $60,000 as the down payment, or even $100,000, just to keep it simple, $100,000 into a property that I own, it's going to take the entire $100,000 for the down payment, right? The closing cost and the furniture to set up, maybe even the designer, if you hire a designer. And that property, depending on the property, because back then it was very easy. After COVID, anybody would cash flow. But right now it's very difficult, right? You have to put some serious thought, some serious money, some serious effort into making one property cash flow. And so if I take $100,000 and spend all that money and pump it into one house, I'm going to own one asset. Yes, I'm going to own it. Let's just say it's a $500,000 house, right? And I'm going to own that. And that house is probably going to make me, I don't know, at the end of the year, $20,000, right? Again, just spitballing numbers. I don't know, because we don't have an actual case study in front of me, but it's going to make me $20,000 or at the end of the year. In the beginning, I couldn't afford to live off of that money and continue to have a life. I would have to get a job and then do real estate on the side and then just have side money with that one house.
But that job, how much money were you making at that job?
Not a lot, dude. Not enough to survive, and not enough to be quite honest, not enough to live my lifestyle. I like to live a certain lifestyle, and it was graveyard, man. I don't want to work graveyard. That was just a personal thing. And to answer your question and tie it all together, when I realized I could cash flow significantly and live off of that cash flow, that was a no-brainer to me. And so that replaced my active income, and it helped me generate enough income to be able to buy. Now, it's just delayed gratification, right? I had to put in the effort and the work. I think we talked about this briefly when we were at the pool, where I didn't pay myself anything for the first 4 years. I was just pumping everything back in and just taking the minimal amount to survive, right? And I was renting a place, and it was just literally money to eat and, you know, the occasional going out, but everything was getting reinvested, and it paid off. 5 years later, we have all these cash flow and assets. Not only did I replace that active income, but then I can pump money into buying long-term wealth assets. So to me, the short answer is I needed active income, and renting for cash flow and arbitrage with the small amount of money needed to get started was a no-brainer. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to challenge you, Rafa, because I'm trying to get the ideas out, right? So I'm going to challenge you.
Sure.
why not just take that money that you were funneling into real estate and double down on your business? And I know you said there's scaling problems, but you can hire a CEO, you can hire a team, you can build this out. Because once again, you mentioned that you make more cash flow here than you do in real estate. So why put into real estate when you make less cash flow in real estate than you would for a business like arbitrage or co-hosting management companies, whatever? Sure. I'm curious, like that front.
To be quite honest, I'm going through a little bit of a burnout phase. Right? 8 years of doing it, dude, and going through the challenges and the ups and the downs. I personally have to challenge myself to do other projects and other things. And so I also don't want to be stuck or doing the same thing over and over for the rest of my life. Now, yes, granted, I could do that, but there's, aside from burnout and personal growth, there's also the challenges of current market conditions. Some of these apartments just aren't making as much money as they used to. And the ones that do cash flow are harder to find. And they're certainly not in my market anymore, which means I would have to go to a different market. And then there's economies of scale. In order for me to go to a different market, I have to open at least 8 to 10 units so that I can be able to run a team on the ground, hire enough VAs to handle it, hire a CEO to be able to manage it and tie it all together. And so I just know it's going to take a lot more effort. And it's something that again, when I sit down and I go, what makes me happy? I don't get excited about that anymore. Had you asked me that 3 years ago, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it. Now I'm like, I'd rather take that money and do something exciting, which we talked about. Like, we're literally just got into escrow today and onto a lot, right, where we're developing. We're going to develop a 4-unit apartment, a 4-unit duplex with 2 ADUs, and literally we just went into escrow today. And so we're searching for another one to build a 10-unit complex because development excites me now. I'm excited about that because it's a new world for me. I don't know, like, I'm not versed in that world, but as I learn, I get really excited about it. And so if I get excited about it, like, that's where I'm going to go. If you have the conversation, you go, oh, dude, I have a 10-unit apartment complex for you to arbitrage. I'm going to be like, gosh, another one? Ugh.
Yeah.
I'd rather be like, hey, I call my friends and be like, hey, dude, there's one opportunity. I'll help you guys get it, take over, and you guys do it. But it doesn't excite me anymore. I don't know if that answers it.
I think also, like, one thing that you alluded to is the idea of the active income. Once you have active income, the problem is you have to pay taxes.
Oh my God,
that's why real estate is exciting, right? Because real estate, whatever your active thing is, it doesn't matter if you're a doctor or lawyer or a business owner of any sort, you're trying to get into this space and buy, or you're a co-host and you're a property manager or an arbitrager. Those are all active income. And so from the IRS perspective, the tax benefits of having the real estate is huge. But I think one thing you alluded to is you're still working on active income. It's just different. I think that's kind of what you're alluding to, is like you went from arbitrage, but you're still putting that money into active income, which is the grunt work that goes into development, and the value add that you get from a development deal could be $100, $200, $300, $500, $1 million of equity that you can build into the deal, depending on what kind of deal you do.
Correct.
I think you're just, but it's also within the space of what you already know, and I alluded to that. Yeah. So I like that, man. And so cool. So obviously you have the benefits of taxes and all that. Walk me through the developments you're working on.
I found a business partner, awesome guy, and we're sitting there having a conversation. He has a short-term rental company, you know him, Luis. And so I was like, hey, dude, why don't we start partner up and do some projects together? I know how to scale these things. I know how to build them. And we got along great. We became really good friends. And so we started talking about it. And I was like, if I can raise the capital and solve that pain point for you and help you put the teams together. I'm great at putting teams, dude. Putting teams together and putting people together. That's one of my skills that I'm really good at.
That skill. Luis doesn't have that skill?
No, he does. No, it's nothing against that. What I'm saying is I'm good at putting people together in certain things. I'm sure he can do it himself. But there's if I can make someone else's life easier by putting in the right player or the right team or a key aspect of capital or something like that, why would you not want to do it? Same thing to me. If you come to me and you go, hey, I can solve that problem and I don't have to do any extra work, I'm like, dude, let's do it.
So what is his thing that he's going to be working on? How are you guys splitting up the work?
Yeah, so he's handling all of the construction management, and I'm handling everything else in terms of I found a lot deal, I brought in the capital, I raised the money, and I just support, plus anything that needs to get done after the fact in terms of operations. So, for example, we just bought a property in Milwaukee together, just a long-term rental. And so I was like, hey, I found a really good deal. I just found the deal, and it was a great deal. It's going to cash flow about $1,200 a month. And so I brought the money, I found the deal, and we're doing partnership. We're already partnered together. I said, hey, let's just partner on this one as well. And as soon as we finish our development, we refinance that house, and we're going to take that money that we have left over, and we're just going to pump it into another cash flow and asset long-term somewhere down the line. So we have a plan together now of things that we want to do, and it worked out. And we're like, okay, let's just keep doing it. So with the development situation, I was like, hey, dude, why don't we just start doing bigger deals? And so I was like, let me see how we can solve this problem. I have people that can raise a lot of money really fast and can help raise that money. We can either bring them in as part of the deal or just pay them a really good percentage or some sort of fee for that will allow us to scale significantly larger, which is funny if you think about it. It's actually easier for me to do a large project, a 10 unit, 15 unit, than it is to go and do a single family home now. Because I can just put all the pieces together. I can call my buddy and go, hey, dude, we need $2 million up front, and these are the numbers. Can you help raise the money? This is what we're offering. We'll give you a piece of equity on this. You come in with us, and we go in and we'll be the operators, right? And Luis can go and handle the construction, and I can handle everything else in terms of operations.
Yeah.
That's synchrony. You do it all together, and you can literally scale so much quicker. Not to mention, like you said earlier, you can build a lot of equity. We're building a ton of equity in these deals right now, which again was always the goal anyway for long term. Right now we have a plan, I call it a 5-year plan, but it's going to go on forever, where I want to have a bunch of long-term rentals cash flowing, and I also want to have a bunch of short-term rentals cash flowing, but I also want to have a ton of equity in development deals that where I'm 20 years down the line, which was always the goal anyway, to have some sort of asset paying me passively. If I start setting this up now, we're going to be sitting pretty, dude.
That's awesome. So let me walk through those. The multi-unit deals are long-term rents?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not building hotels yet?
No, I don't want to build hotels.
You don't want to build hotels?
Yeah. You're right. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, cool. So obviously you own a hotel.
It's funny you say that. I actually forgot, but I am working on a hotel deal right now in Arizona that we're putting together. So yes, I guess we are building hotels too, but I own 2 hotels. I was in operations, but those hotels happen to be in markets where they need a person on the ground. So we handed over operations to our boots on the ground people, and we have an innkeeper in one of them. Yeah. The one that we're working on right now, we've actually been in talks for about 3 weeks now, which is a hotel, and it's going to be a custom built hotel in the Arizona market. And the thing is, it comes with its challenges. Hotels, there's no comps. It's hard to find what your average daily rate's going to be, especially if you have a very unique product. And for me, if I had the funds, I'd be like, let's move forward, because I know it's going to do very well, but we're raising money on it, and I can't take a risk on something that's like new in a market. Yeah. Like I don't want to be the proof of concept. With someone else's money. Correct. Yeah. So we're in the works of really tying everything down together to make sure it makes sense. We've brought in an expert that's built a hotel in that market in the past, so he's given insights. So when you start putting those key components together, then that could make a little bit more sense.
How do you put deals together? Let's walk through that. Like maybe the Arizona deal. Like how do you just found some operator in the Arizona area? How did you come across that person? You should reach out. You said, you have a guy that will raise the money. How did you meet all these people, or how to put the pieces together to build a team like that?
Networking, man. Like I told you, I'm great at putting teams together.
So walk us through. Give us a recipe if it's not a secret.
Dude, you want it for real? Be as helpful as you can to other people. You already do that. That's literally you. I see your stuff all the time, and you try to help as many people all the time. I give away everything. Like literally, I don't hide anything. If somebody asks me a question, I go above and beyond. And I go above and beyond to put those people together with the right person if needed. I'm transparent about what I do. I'm transparent about my downsides. I'm transparent about my wins. I'm transparent about my losses. I don't hide anything. There's no reason to. If I were to sit here and talk about how great everything is, but never tell you that I had a bad time doing something or something went south, if I heard that from someone, I know they'd be full of crap. Listen, dude, everybody goes through ups and downs in every business no matter what. This conversation I had with a friend of mine, and he's like, I've never heard of anybody actually say that before. And I was like, would you prefer that I tell you the truth when I ask you to lend me $100,000, or would you prefer that I tell you everything's peaches and cream and lie in your face?
Yeah.
Know that things are going to go south. There's going to be downside in every business. At least I'm transparent about it, and we found a way to mitigate that risk, right? That's number one. Transparency is key. Number two, I post a lot. I have my podcast. People know, like, and trust me because of that. I do a ton of networking. I go to a ton of events.
How did you find these events? Obviously, this is 8 years in the work, and it's not overnight. But where do you find these events? Like for somebody that wants to like start plugging in, do you go to meetup.com or do you?
Yeah, meetup.com is a big one for sure. I used to do meetup.com meetups all the time. The best way to do it is to find your local meetup, go and network and talk to people and see how real they are. Don't fall for an influencer online that's selling you on all the beautiful things out there that they've made millions of dollars because, again, like I just said earlier, not everybody is honest. You want to meet people in person that are honest. Number one, go to meetups. Number two, find events. You used to have your event, right? That was a great event.
Yep.
Like you'd go to those events, you'd go for there for the weekend, you find a ton of other people. Not only are they interested in what you want to do, because that's what the event's about, you find great networking people. You get to talk to speakers that already have the experience, and you can and build partnerships with those people. If you find someone that you like, you get to know them, you can build a partnership. That's literally how I met Luis.
Yep. Where'd you meet Luis?
I went to the event in Nashville. And he was there. Somebody went. I actually went there with Tony and Sarah and Omid, which I know you know them.
Yep.
We were walking around, and this guy goes up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm in short-term rentals too in the Joshua Tree market." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Great." We took a photo together, and it was like, "So what do you do?" He's like, "Yeah, I run some short-term rentals in Joshua Tree." At that point, everybody and their mom was trying to get into Joshua Tree. So I was like, okay, cool. It's just another guy in Joshua Tree. And so I'm like, hey, dude, I'm actually in Southern California. Why don't you take my phone number down and we can meet up? I'd love to meet up with you. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, let's meet up.
Yep.
And so I took his number. He took my number. We took a photo together. I put it in my phone book. And that was the entire conversation. We went about our day. We hung out. He hung out with us a few times that weekend. We went out for drinks for the event. I actually did so the biggest thing I want people to take away is when you go to networking, actually network, right? I go to the after parties. I go get drinks with people. I introduce myself. I talk about what I do. I always talk about what I do. I'm always selling, right? Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, because you'll always pick up somebody else's ear that's interested, and you never know. Dude, the majority of the money I've raised is because I talk about things in bars or in networking groups. Other people hear it, and then later they ask me about it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got this project. You want in? And they're like, yeah, let me jump in on it. I kid you not.
Rafa, you also have a bunch of masterminds you're part of. I think you're forgetting that. You're like very ingrained in the community. It's not just, I go to the meetup every month. This is, dude, I go to all the conferences. I go to the meetups. I put my own meetup up. You do what else do you do? You have multiple mastermind communities that you are part of.
So I used to have my own mastermind. I shut it down because it's just too much work. I used to have one of these, like a community where I would teach people arbitrage. I shut it down again because it was just too much commitment for me. So now I'm a part of multiple masterminds. Actually, I was a part of a bunch. Now I'm only a part of two. One's in real estate and one's in business. And we meet up once a quarter. So there's actually not once a quarter, it's 3 times a year. One of them's once a quarter, one of them's 3 times a year, so every 4 months. And I go out there and I do the networking. One of my best friends who I hang out with, he's like somebody I want to do life with. We travel together, and he's the guy that helps me raise capital if needed. We bounce ideas off of each other. Whenever I'm down, I call him. We push each other up. We hang out all the time for that same reason. I met him at this mastermind. And so aside from the meetups, I am a part of a lot of masterminds. They're masterminds you pay for, right? They're not cheap. They cost me about $25K a year to be a part of. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But there's also people always go, what's that infinite return, or what's that return, that you get out of that? To me, it's an infinite return because, for example, the real estate mastermind, I met my partners for the 2 hotels. Now I own 2 hotels out of it. I met my partner Tyson, who he's the one that I raised the capital for the hotel. That's how I put that hotel deal together. And so he raised the money for that hotel. Now he's helping us raise money for some of these new construction lots.
Here's the thing, Rafa. Sorry to cut you off. I know you're going off on a good swing. But once again, I think what's even more important about this is, I think going deeper is like, what is networking? You're saying networking. To somebody that might be shaking hands saying, what do you do? This is what I do. Boom, done. I think it has to be deeper than that. Like, you have to freaking learn about these people to say, what are these people's skill sets? Who do they know? What are they doing? Like, for example, the hotel deal, you would have never known that this person could be capable of taking down a hotel deal unless you asked about what they're passionate about, what they're working on. It'd be like, oh, this is what I really want to do. I want to do oh, I want to build another hotel, or I want to do this thing, and you're like, whoa, hold on. You talk to somebody else that also wants to do that, and you're like, wait, or you find somebody that has a hotel deal, you're like, wait, I know a guy. And then you hit the guy up, and then boom, now you're putting the deal together. But to be able to do that, you need to dive deeper and remember people. That's the hard part.
It's being intentional. That's the word. You need to be intentional. You don't show up to a meetup just to hang out. You don't join a mastermind just to travel for the week. You need to be intentional. If you go to a meetup, you need to network. And when you network, you need to meet people. You need to introduce yourself. It's like I said earlier, you need to talk about what it is that you do.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. You need to go and sell yourself. A really good friend of mine said, always be selling, because that's all he ever does is he always sells himself. He's at the barber and he's talking about his business, right? Yep. He's at the grocery store and he's talking about his business.
But it's not
he's taking his kids to school.
It's not
everything.
But it is
telling what it is that you do, right? So you're like, hey, what do you do? I'm a real estate investor, and I'm looking to find people, and I'm always looking to work with good people. You're literally, that's selling, dude, right? Yeah. You're not actually asking for something, but you're promoting yourself. You're promoting your business.
It's like putting a fishing line out. That's what it is.
Correct.
It's like you're not really telling them, selling them hard in the sense like, hey, work with me. It's more so, hey, like, this is what I'm doing. If you want to bite, let's go. Let's work together.
And that's what you need to be doing when you go to these events, these meetups, these networking groups. Yeah. You need to be intentional of what you want to get out of it. Do you want to meet 5 new people in the real estate world? Do you want to create an accountability group? Do you want to just make friends that you can swing ideas off of? All of that. And you do that by talking, meeting. You're not going to do that off the first meetup or the first mastermind event that you go to. It took multiple for me to meet these guys. The first time I actually met my business partner, I thought, I was like, he kind of blew me off. I was like, okay, this guy's not the nicest.
Yeah.
3 events later, we're sitting there drinking wine together. And 4 events later, we're traveling the world together. And 5 events later, we're investing in deals together. And now we talk pretty much every other day. Yep. And it was a buildup of relationships. I like him. He likes me. Do we vibe? Yeah, we vibe. All right, do we want to do something together? Potentially. All right, I got a deal. Let's bring it up. Does it make sense? Does he like it? Do I like it? How can we help each other? What can I add value to him? Can he add value to me? That's how you go.
So deals, obviously, are a big component of this. Yeah. Is that also through networking?
Yeah. All my deals are networking. Okay. I don't have any acquisitions teams. Every deal that I've done has been through networking.
Got it. So somebody brings a deal up. They're like, hey, I'm working on this deal. Can you help? Or you look at it and be like, hey, I know somebody that can raise the money for it. Let's do it. Something like that to you.
No, it's usually, it's a mix of both. However, now I get so busy and I'm so intentional about what I want to do that I don't really take the time to be like, oh, hey, this guy's got a deal. If I have someone in my network, I'll just put them in contact with each other. Hey, this guy knows this guy. Go ahead and you guys talk. I don't get involved anymore. But most of the time, people bring me the deal and they're like, hey, I have this deal. What do you think? You want to be a part of it? And then it just depends. Does it make sense for me? Or maybe I just buy the deal off of them, or we end up becoming partners in one aspect or another.
Yeah. So do they come, I guess you were talking a little bit about it. I think one thing that's important is knowing your positioning when you come to these deals, like what you bring to the table. Yeah. What do you bring to the table, Rafa? Obviously you know how to put teams together, but what's like the big thing that a lot of people come to you for?
I think it's that, dude. It's funny. I ask myself that same question. I go, why are people so attracted to me? It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it that like all these people want to do this stuff with me? Again, I think it's because I don't know. Again, this is just personal reflection, but I think it's because I'm always trying to help people in terms of either putting a deal together or putting a team together or solving a problem. Most of the time that people come to me is because I can help them solve a problem, whether that's an operational problem, whether that's a money problem, whether that's putting a team together problem, whether it's just a knowledge problem. I think I'm always solving a problem for someone else, and I think that's what makes me be that person to be a part of a deal. Because a lot of these times, these guys don't need to, but if I can shorten the curve to get a deal done quickly, I think that's the way it happens. And before I used to take any deal, now I'm very selective because I only want to do deals with people I like and people that I can become friends with. I've just been burned so many times now that I'm very selective about it, which is why, for example, Luis and Angel, these dudes, I love these guys, and we're friends now, and we hang out together. They were just at my house this past weekend.
To do that?
Yeah.
Isn't that more fun 100%. To do deals with? Once you have
people
the option to, you might as well just do deals with people you like, right?
Correct, 100%.
Instead of having to make a deal with the devil.
We could talk about that all the time.
So I think, obviously, from what I know about you, we're not like childhood friends or anything that I know everything about you, but from what I've seen, I think somebody like you're just somebody that takes action. I know it sounds really dumb
That's
and
true.
very high stupid. Oh, it takes action. But it's true. Like most people, when they're like, hey, here's a deal, they're like, it's not my buy box, whatever. And they just leave the person hanging versus, oh, like you might come in and be like, this deal maybe is not the right fit for me, but here's a person I think would be really good for this deal. And you connect those two people. And so even if they're more likely to bring the deal to you because you solve their problem. You see what I mean? Versus just, or you will take action. And when it's your deal and it's in your criteria, you're going to fucking do it. Like without a doubt. So I think
and even
powerful.
with that, even if you don't become a part of it, if you help solve their problem, you're always the top of mind the next time around. I always stay on top of mind on people, and I reach out to people, and I'm friendly.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, let's talk about, obviously, when deals go south, right? We can talk about all the fun and games.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm cool. Like in concept, it makes sense. I've been told this a million times. But once again, a deal maker like yourself, where are the faults? What are the things you've learned that says, maybe walk through a story of a time where you maybe did a deal with the devil and it didn't work out?
There's always, let me put it this way. You can only have number problems if you didn't put your numbers together correctly. But you can always have people problems because people is not something you can control, right? And so the biggest problem in any deal is always people. Someone else that's unless you underwrote it incorrectly or you were reckless. If you do everything correct, the only thing that could go south is people, right? Whether a contractor left you hanging, whether somebody that was supposed to bring you money didn't come through, it's a partner who wants to quit, whether it's a partner who's not doing the work that they promised they were going to do. You can't control those things. So you have to be very, again, this is why I'm very selective and I only work with people I want to work with. And I set expectations up front and I make sure everybody knows what's going to happen because you don't want to have those problems and those issues. And so, dude, I could go down a list of just problem after problem. And it's never really a deal. It's always the people that make that deal go bad. Granted, I've been in a few bad deals. There's no sugarcoating that because I'm also I'm high risk. I go in a lot of risks. So I'll go in deals that a lot of people won't go into. But again, it's because it's my own money and I'm okay with it because if it pays off, great. If it doesn't. But aside from the risk that I take, every single time that something has gone south has been because of someone else's actions. Now, that's not me putting on blame on other people because, again, I take ownership and responsibility for everything I do. And usually that ends up being me having to take over the work that needs to get done. I don't want to talk about a specific deal because I'm very public about my deals so people don't know who they are. But I've been in a lawsuit with partners who've left us hanging. And we're still going through the lawsuit because this person promised to do something and it cost me about 170 grand, right? 150 grand, something like that. And so I had to come out of pocket for that. I also trusted someone that gave me information that was incorrect and I took it and I went and did it and it cost me a ton of money.
Wow.
I've also been in partnerships with people who wanted to quit halfway through a deal and I'm like, dude, what is happening right now? We need to complete this thing. I've also been in partnerships with just people they just leave you hanging, right? Hey, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And it's like you show up and nothing's getting done and you're like, excuse my language, like what the hell's happening? Is this going to get done? And then you have to take responsibility and take that upon yourself to solve those problems, whether it's end the partnership or take over and do it yourself. That's in my experience. It's always been a people problem.
So obviously there's mistakes, but mistakes aren't everything. I think the biggest thing is learning from the mistakes.
Oh, the mistakes is great. I love making mistakes because you learn from them.
Exactly. So what did you learn in those instances? Like what do you look out when it comes to partners? Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I got to like them. Second of all, I got to trust them. We had a meetup at the ranch maybe about a year ago we talked about partnerships the entire time. And it's funny. I said, I got to wine and dine them. And
you got to date them a little bit, Rafa.
I got to, liquor them up a little bit and hang out and see how they react and see if they're real. Because if you come to me today and you want to partner tomorrow and I know nothing about you, that's not going to happen. Now, granted,
that used to happen though.
Oh yeah. Again, I was very trusting of people. This guy says this and he does this, and I'm extremely trusting of people. It's funny. Lorena just looked at me. She's like, "Yeah, I'm like super trusting," and I'm like, "Yeah." If you tell
superpower too,
it could be, but it could also be a bad thing because look, again, I've been burnt one too many times. If you come to me and you go, "Hey, I got this, and we're doing this, and we're doing that, and I'm gonna be a part of this," and you have a track record. The funny part is, for example, I had a really bad partner in the ranch deal, and I don't care to talk about that one because it's very public, but he left us hanging, didn't come through on what he said he was going to do, didn't bring in the funds he was supposed to bring in, and disappeared and left a ton of people hanging. And I did my homework on him. I talked to people about him. People knew him. They did projects with him. But when push comes to shove, it was more of ghosted and disappeared. And so I learned a lot from that. I also trusted him I didn't check on the project. I just said, hey, he's working on it. And every time I would show up, nothing was done. And I'm like, yo, when is this going to get going? And until it was just too late. So now, even though I'm selective about it, there's got to be updates. So now I have weekly calls. Now we need to know that the project's going well. We need to be moving along and check in on these people to make sure that what they're saying that they're going to do is getting done. And that's the biggest learning lesson is I now take responsibility, it means I have to somewhat micromanage, but I also need to make sure that the people that I'm working with are staying on top of, because I'm always doing what I need to be doing. And so I expect that from other people, but you can't always expect, you have to check it. Number two,
trust but verify, real quick.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard that philosophy?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the beginning, you just got to verify it a little bit more, right? Maybe weekly check-ins in the beginning. But once I trust you, like I know everything's good, you get to the Luis level, you're like, all right, we're using Luis because it's a mutual friend. But Luis level, you're like, all right, I trust this guy. I don't have to check in as much.
Yeah. And I know he's going to deliver on what he says he's going to deliver because I've seen it. We've talked about it. We've done it, right? And there's no question that he knows I'm going to deliver when something's needed. Mm-hmm. He calls me for something and I handle it right away. It's done. Mm-hmm. I'll take care of it.
Yep.
So
you said second thing.
Yeah. Correct.
What was the second thing?
Oh, sorry. The second thing.
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. So one was that was what I learned from it, right? What you said, trust by verify, is exactly it explains what I was talking about. You know what I remember? It'll come to me.
Yeah, but I think you were alluding to, obviously there's a lot of things that happen with deals where they fall apart. One thing is obviously wine and dining them, trusting them, doing all that. Is there anything else that you can do to vet?
Yeah, it actually just came to mind. So hold on a second. My thought was everything I do now is in contract. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're my brother, sister, cousin, best friend. Yeah. We put a contract in place ahead of time. Correct. And that's just a hard lesson I had to learn. And even with that in my head, I still sometimes am very trusting. And I got deals out there with people that don't have a contract in place. And I'm like, I'm walking a fine line here. Something could really happen and I'm going to get screwed. And I'm talking big time, right? Now, when I have the conversation, up front and said, hey, dude, we're cool. I like you. We're friends. But contract needs to be put in place. And here's the expectations of the contract and the expectations of each other. And these are the repercussions. And this is the exit if these things don't happen. I'm like super clear about it. Number one, what's the partnership? Number two, what's the role? Number three, what's the repercussions if the roles don't get completed? Number four, how do we exit and exit cleanly?
I love that.
In every aspect of it. That's a huge learning lesson. Number three.
There's no way you can go back and be like, hey, I didn't say I was going to do that. So, dude, you wrote it down. It's right here. And you signed it.
Correct. So, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is I work with good people. I want to work with good people and people that I know are good. And because I don't want to have to fall back on a contract.
Character, though. How do you test people's character?
Getting to know them. Okay. Literally, that's the only way. Getting to know them. How do they react in challenging situations? Hey, how are they with other people? Mm-hmm. Are they a-holes to their family? Are they good people? Or like, how are they reacting when something challenging happened? How do they react? How did they behave? How do they handle the situation? That's how, dude. There's no other way.
Do you think so? So there's a thing, man. This is the problem is some of the most charismatic people are, because I've met a few in my life, a good amount of people that are really good, really charismatic, but they're pretty much psychopaths. Like they're just so good at blending in with being normal people. Right. How do you decipher somebody like that's like super charismatic? You like them so much. They've done deals and they have a track record, but they've also on those deals you don't know about what you don't know. You don't know if the deals go south, how they react. But they're really good at like putting on a persona and they're talking to their family like, oh, I love my family and I'm such a family man. And you meet their family and it looks so great. And so how do you really break down that kind of person and not get in a situation where you're doing a deal with them and shit hits the fan and all of a sudden that situation is that's one thing, right? So I'm going to talk about that. And then the second situation, the second type of person is the person that's actually a really good person and does all the right things, but when shit hits the fan, they think about themselves first. And in a way, from a scared position, a fear position. And they're a good person, but also they thinking about themselves and granted, in a wrong way, obviously unethical way, but like they do things in their own. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, to touch on your first thing, people are very good at putting on a mask. We live in a social media world, man.
Right.
And everybody needs to put a face, right? It's this facade of everything's gold, everything's great. Like I said, so many people are trusting because you follow someone with a big following and you think that they're amazing, but yet you don't know what they're doing. They're screwing people in the background. They're in all kinds of problems. To answer your question, it's tough because even for this dude, I verified him, right?
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people and he still did me dirty and took off. You don't know how people are going to react. And that's why I now, like I was alluding to earlier, is I make sure I have a relationship with them before so I know how they are. I didn't get into business with my buddy Tyson until I really hung out with him for a very long time. And I knew what he was about, right? And I knew how he reacts. And he not only helps me be a better person, he cares more about what we're doing than what he's doing. And he looks at deals and he always comes in and he goes, dude, that's not a good deal. You don't want to touch that. Same thing with Luis. We hung out a lot. I got to meet his wife, his friends, the people around him. I don't go into deals with people blindly anymore just because they have a big social media following or because someone else told me that they're good people. Yeah. You need to really get to know them. To answer your first part is it's just build trust over time by actually getting to know them on a personal level, not just because they have a good post, and verifying their projects and seeing the people they talk to and talking to the people around them and actually hanging out. I think that's the only way to do it because when people have a really good mask, right? Unless they're like huge con artists, there's really no other way. And number two, your second point, you need to come in with the expectation that we're all humans and every human's always going to look out after themselves no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do. I've had really good relationships and friends with where I'm like, I put them first and then time comes and they're like, it bites me in the butt and they screw me over. And then I'm like, why am I shocked? They have a family. They need to take care of their family. Yeah. They have a mortgage. They need to take care of their mortgage. If you're going into a situation like that, you can't be really surprised. And if you are, it's like you do the same thing.
So
I think
in those situations, is it a business write-off and it happens, or is there a way to prevent? Look, I'm just curious.
No, look, dude. Like again, I went through a whole lawsuit to try to get that money back. And to be quite honest with you, if I think back on it now, I should have just left it alone and lost. Yeah, I should have just lost because the headache I have to go through, the money I have to pay. Is it worth it in the end? I still haven't received $1. Am I going to? Probably not. And my friend was like, look, dude, think about it. Is this going to be worth your time? Is it going to be worth the headache? Or do you just want to put it behind you and move on? And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just a loss on the books and you move on. No matter how big or small the number, sometimes it's just a loss. It's not like I'm going to go after them and break their knees. There's going to be no repercussion. Unless we can collect, I'm not going to get anything out of it. To answer your questions, yeah, sometimes it is just a matter of, I'm going to be the better person. I'm going to put it behind me, and I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You're going to lose some, but you're going to win more. That's the goal, right?
100%. I've won more than I've lost, I'll tell you that much. Even though I'm so trusting, I've still been on top way more than I have been down.
Yeah. So taking action did pay off. Cool, man. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up real quick here. The last 3 questions for you, man. I asked everybody these 3. One special just for you. And what educational resource do you think has been most instrumental for you in your life? It doesn't have to be business, man.
That's a tough one because I think doing the work or doing the thing is probably the most, man, it's tough because, look, I want to say, hey, look, you're going to learn the most if you're actually out there doing the work. That's where you learn the most, right? Through your mistakes, through your ups and your downs. But I've learned so much from other people that have helped me shorten the curve of learning that it's like other people, relationships, but it's also doing the work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can't take credit for all of it because I've learned a lot and I've had a ton of shortcuts and I've implemented what people have told me and it's helped me skyrocket my business. But I've also learned a lot by doing the work and being involved in the day-to-day. So I guess it's people, other people and doing the work.
Awesome. And so, Rafa, let's just say you know what you know now, obviously, with putting deals together, right? You have all the knowledge. I plop you. I'm like, Rafa, I'm going to plop you over in, you got no resources, whatever, strip everything away. Let's say you lose everything. Let's say worst case scenario, you lose everything. But you still have your brain. And I plop you in a new city that you don't know anybody. And I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, or actually, I'm going to plop you in Mexico. I'm just going to plop you in Mexico. You really don't know anybody. You don't know the laws, regulations, nothing, right? So I'm going to pop you in Cabo. Make something happen. what would you do? How would you do a deal? Like, how would you put a deal together? How would you strategize around doing something? It's a scenario-based question.
If you want me to go deep, we could talk about an hour, just another whole hour about this. But here, I would take my knowledge and find a way to implement it in that market. Look, I live in California and I do deals all across the U.S. from California. I live in North Carolina and I do deals all across the U.S. from North Carolina. I live on both sides back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't need to live in a town in order for me to do the deals there. But to your point here, if you drop me there, I would literally take my knowledge and go implement what I know. How can I make what I know work in that town? There's so many ways to make money, dude. It's crazy, right? You just got to go out and do the work. And I would do the work. So first thing I would do is find out if I want to maybe even look at short-term rentals. If I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'd find the best short-term rental market near me, right? Vacation rental market near me. To be quite honest, if I had, now you didn't say if I would be plopped in there with money or no money, then I would go and find a way to utilize my skills and my knowledge around the short-term rental space and do what you do and host for people.
Yeah.
Because that requires absolutely $0.
Also network to find like a way to put a deal together?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been talking about networking on this entire episode, right? This entire episode has been partnerships and networking, which I wasn't even expecting to have this conversation. And so if I were to go there, I'd literally start finding the people that know how to work in that market, start picking their brain. Same way, dude. Networking, talking to people, asking questions.
Great, but do you go on LinkedIn? Do you go on Meetup? Where do you find these people? Do you go to the barber shop? You ask the barber? Like, where are you going? Maybe we got to plop you and do it. No joke. I think the idea would be to, hell, if I really want to do it, I drive around and see who's building new constructions and talk to whoever's doing the construction. Yeah.
And talk to them and be like, hey, why are you doing it here? What is it that you're working on? What makes this type of deal what's making you want to build this type of property? And start paying attention and asking to talk to the owner, and then talking to the owner and networking with the owner and building a relationship with the owner, and then asking how can I add value and what can I bring to the table in my knowledge base and my skills. That's one way. Internet, dude. Meetup.com. I'm sure there's meetups. Facebook groups. I'm sure there's Facebook groups down there. I'm thinking about Mexico. I'd drive to a local beach town and find a property that's for rent.
Yeah.
And I'd rent it and I'd host it, or I would arbitrage it. I would find a way to solve people's problems based around my knowledge. Again, finding a contractor, finding a new development, talking to, even if I go to an Airbnb and message the host and say, hey, are you the owner? Is there a new owner here? Is there another owner? Can I talk to them? Things like that. I don't know. There's so many different ways, but I would definitely, number one would be to start networking with people. And number two, finding a way to add value that would, of course, generate revenue for me.
Awesome. I think that's a great way to do it. I want to see the
we could have gone forever on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, you know
that would be fun, actually.
That would be really fun. Have you seen what is it called? Undercover Billionaire? Is that what it is called?
Yeah.
Yeah, that show. Yeah.
Or Undercover Boss, I think it is.
No, Undercover.
No, there's a show. Yeah, there's a show where they start from scratch, right?
Yes. They start from scratch. Yeah. Grant Cardone did it, and
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We got to do that with Rafa in the new area.
That'd be fun.
But I don't know if you want to enjoy the luxuries of life at this point. You don't want to get it back to that. But if you had to, you would do it.
It's the challenge.
Yeah,
I would. 100%.
Yeah. So cool, man. And then last thing, what is Rafa up to? What's up in the future, man?
Now I'm doing the development stuff, so that's that. I'm starting over. So again, like I told you, I don't want to continue to do the arbitrage stuff. Now, if I absolutely have to, I absolutely will. But I think now I'm trying to find ways to slowly pivot to finding alternative sources of income. I'm looking to buy a business. I've been in the hunt for about a year now. We've put in offers on a few of them. I wouldn't even talk about that, right? I'm doing the development. We just got that offer accepted today. And I'm looking to partner with good people, honestly. I'm still about that. I love that stuff.
There's some good people listening to this podcast. How can they get in touch with you and talk about maybe a deal they have or that they want to do work with you?
Instagram or Facebook. Instagram, it's Rafa Loza, ITS Rafa Loza. Facebook, Rafa Loza. I always respond and I'm always active, and then we go from there.
Awesome, man. Hey, appreciate it, dude. Love chatting the chop. So it's been good, man, and thanks for coming on, and finally had you. So,
yeah, man, this was great. Thank you. I appreciate you.